Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome to Apex Racing TV's presentation of the Radical Esports Cup. J.R. Gregory here with you on the call. Beside me in the commentary booth, Aaron Smith, and twisting the knobs and pushing the buttons, showing you all these great camera angles today, is our producer, Joshua Wilkie. And the star of today's show, the Radical SR10. This car is one of the purest sports car experiences on iRacing. Propelled by a Ford EcoBoost 4-cylinder turbo, 450 horsepower, and tipping the scales a full 1,000 pounds lighter than an MX-5 Cup car. So with no traction control, no ABS, the SR10 can be a handful, but mastering this car will make you better in every car that you drive. And folks, we are showing the top split of the public server here, 2100 GMT, as we do every Friday. So this is not a private event. This is not a league event. If you'd like to give these radicals a whirl, get out there, put down some practice laps, show up on Friday, and sign up. If you make the top split, you'll appear here on Apex Racing TV, and our upcoming schedule is fantastic. Navarra, Portimao, Donington, Watkins Glen, VIR, Road America, Sebring, and Interlagos. And today, season 4 of 2024, week 5, we are here at the Nürburgring, open in 1927 in the shadow of the Nürburgring Castle in the Eifel Mountains. Last Formula One race in about 1977. And I'll have to cut our usual intro a little short here because we have separate qualifying in this series, like many Nürburgring series. So no quali, and we're on the grid now. Let's take a look at that grid. Philip Vandenherk is going to take the pole at a roasting 619.464 next to Lasse Sorensen. John McCutchinson will be next to Rafa Blanca in row 2. Eduardo Rocco and Andreas Friedrich in 5 and 6. Heinz Braun next to James Berry. Then it's Kadura next to Kjetil Larsen. Andreas Baer next to Kim Andre Bjorklund in 11 and 12. And if we roll that forward, we are going to see Paulo Gori next to Marco Weaver, Santos next to Jorge Gonzaga, Kyriakopoulos next to Iani, Castro in May there in row 10, Adami and Dibden 21 and 22, and Mats Anderson taking up the rear in 23rd position. And there are the lights, and we are underway. Aaron is here. We're going to get his 2 cents in a second, but that is Vandenherk there in the number 1 car, and we're starting from a standing start as always. And the first test of patience is going to be right up here around this bend, and this slow left-hander, cold tires, they get through that clean. We've seen some incidents there over the years, but for right now, it is Vandenherk from Sorensen, from McCutchinson, as we get this 4-lap race underway at the Green Hell. And Aaron, I am excited about this race here today. We had over 100 cars signed up for this multiple splits, and this split is a 4.6 iRating. So aside from the fantastic Radical drivers that we see every week, we're getting some ringmasters here, Nürburgring addicts in the field, and we should see some fantastic racing as a result.
Yeah, the Nürburgring and the SR10s has been a very, very popular combination over the past few seasons here on iRacing. I believe something happened to Castro at the back, your race winner last week, in absolutely spectacular fashion. But he's had an awful start and seems to be the only driver having a bit of a tough start. And here's our first move for the lead. It's Sorensen round the outside, touching the grass, and that could be a big one, but he manages to keep it on. Huge lockup, still locking up, turning into the corner, and that's an absolute miracle. He was able to keep all four wheels on the track there and not make contact with anyone else. So good avoidance, good car control from everyone around him, but he's dropped a few places, could have taken the lead, but just was not doing. And here we go into the first tight and twisty section of the track. Not too many overtaking opportunities in this part of the Nordschleife. You kind of just have to sit back and wait for the first opportunity as we head now into this part of the lap. It's kind of single file through here, not really any room for two cars to go side by side through here, and we should settle down now just for a few corners until we get to that mini straight, I guess you could call it. I don't really know what that part of the track is called, but it's not the long back straight that will just be a slipstream fest, but kind of the little mini straight in about the middle of the lap.
Yeah, and we're taking a look at Castro, one of our fastest drivers for sure, and he had to be a favorite for a podium here. See what happens to him, and yeah, cold tires, and there's a little section of pavers there on the inside of that right-hander heading down the hill. Some people choose to drive on it, some don't, and you see why some people want to keep all four tires on the pavement right there, because Castro getting loose there and turning that car is going to drop him all the way to the back of the pack. P23, I like him to move up, but he was looking good for a podium there initially, and he's got his work cut out for him now.
No, he was not. That got super, super close going through there as Braun and Rocha go wheel to wheel, and this is the part of the track that I was talking about. This is one of the most just intense part of the lap, especially on this first lap. It's going to be long slipstreams pretty much all the way until we get to the first carousel. Braun not really benefiting from the car slipstream in front. He might come under pressure from Rocha and Friedrich and possibly Barry as well behind. But maybe everyone just being a little bit timid on this first part of the lap. Friedrich going for it behind though. He moves himself up into 6th place as Rocha really couldn't do anything about that as he drops down to 7th place. James Barry still there in 8th. And I think we were talking about this last week. This is what the Nordschleife does. It really does just throw all of the drivers off, and you get some people who aren't necessarily too quick around the rest of the season. And then we head to the Nordschleife and they're as quick as anything. Drivers like McHutchinson, who we haven't really seen too much of this season, up there in 2nd, potentially fighting for a win today. Blanco as well, Van den Hoek as well, who's had a bit of a topsy-turvy start to this season, leading at the moment. And that's Tony Dibden, who I think might have had some kind of issue to going through the carousel as he goes wheel to wheel with Anderson, as Anderson looks to be struggling a tad going through this last few sections of the lap.
Yeah, and sadly it looks like we're going to get a look here of little kerfuffle coming into the carousel. Yeah, you gotta keep it down on the inside there. If you slip outside, you lose a massive amount of grip, you lose all that camber, and it's a place where you have to be patient and kind of maintain speed through there. And Dibden allowing himself to wash out there, and he's going to lose a place over that. And meanwhile, it looks like the Nordschleife has claimed its first victim. It appears that Iani has somehow stuffed that Radical and taken it tow. So his day may be done, and he's probably not going to be the last person that we see on the back of the tow truck. And here we are, meanwhile, taking a look up front. It is Vandenherk from McCutcheon, from Sorensen, from Blanco, from Braun, and that is your top 5. And as Aaron said, we don't see McCutcheon every week, but when we do see him, he does tend to be up at the pointy end of the field. He is pretty good with these radicals. And here is a look at Yanni. And Aaron, maybe you can tell me what you're looking at there.
Well, luckily I am able to see it thanks to Josh, and I don't know what happened there. I think he just completely misjudged the corner before the middle straight of the lap and just completely smashed into the barriers. And Kadora as well, another victim here. I think May also maybe pulling over to one side. Yep, he is. So we got 3 drivers out on this first lap. And here we go on the back straight. This is what you're used to seeing. And I can't wait for this final lap when we eventually do come to it. As Sorensen now takes the lead from Vandenherk. McCutcheon also lost out to Sorensen. Blanco's still there in 4th place. Friedrich and Rocha have gotten past Braun. Braun gets past back Eduardo, though. Friedrich, I think, has had a problem. He's falling down the order. I think he misjudged his braking coming into those final few corners and took a trip across the grass, and that's cost him about 5 places there and about 2 or 3 seconds. And from what I'm hearing, potentially it could have been contact that's bumped Friedrich off. I'm not 100% sure, but we can have a look.
Yeah, and here is Friedrich side by side here, and
no.
Well, you know, he didn't have any help there. I think he just overcooked there and didn't get on the brakes quick enough, and it is tough. These radicals are at terminal velocity in 6th gear, and there's another incident, and that looks like Gory. He's going to rotate that car in a cloud of smoke and into the Armco. A hard hit for Gory, and that is going to drop him all the way to the back. And I'll tell you, after a fairly clean start here, these radicals are dropping like flies right about now. I'm counting 5 of them, either in the process of the tow or in the pits. And once again, gosh, Aaron, you know, if you're used to driving a GT3 car or a little more forgiving car, part of the laps around here are using a lot of those curbs. And you saw that driver try to use the kind of paved section off to the side of the track there, and these radicals sometimes don't like being up off the road and having that splitter have a gap develop between the splitter and the road. They lose the downforce, over rotate, and you saw the result right there.
Yeah, and the problem with running such high downforce, not just in these cars, but just in any car with downforce, is the fact you have to run the cars so stiff to get the benefits of that downforce. And of course, the problem with that is you're less likely to be able to use the curbs around any track as well. It will just unsettle the car. You will literally start bouncing, and well, then you'll lose all grip, you'll spin out, and then you're into the wall or the grass or wherever you end up. Maybe even worse, maybe you go roll over hoop. Let's hope none of our drivers do that today, but we've already lost 5 drivers at the moment. A couple of others still limping along, like we saw Gory had a biggie, and he's still limping his way back to the pits. I don't think anyone necessarily will come into the pits. I think once you crash around here, that's just kind of it, to be honest. There's not really much you can do, and chances are if you have a big one round here, I don't think your car's going to be drivable afterwards. It's a very narrow, very unforgiving track, and we were talking about it before. I mean, if we're using the real life layout anytime soon in iRacing, well, the curbs are even more unusable. So let's hope we can stick with this layout for maybe a few more years. I don't think iRacing are in any rush to update this track anytime soon.
Yeah, I doubt it. And you can see these cars starting to train up any track with a big draft. You'll see them kind of form these little groups. The group up front is Sorensen, Herc, McCutcheon, and Blanco. And we're entering this section here, critical section between Bergwerk and Moot Curve. And it looks curvy, folks, but this is essentially a straightaway. You come out of Bergwerk and you're running the car through the gears full throttle all the way up into 6. So it is effectively a straightaway, and there are some passing opportunities that are resulting from the big slipstream from these radicals as we watch. What are we watching there? We're back to Vandenherk, Sorensen, and McCutcheon, and we see a couple noses stick around there, but no moves here. Probably saving their saving their bravery for that Brack straightaway, where we're going to see the lead change on probably every lap here.
Honestly, it's just about patience, as Van den Hoek seems to be struggling coming out of the carousel there, nearly lost the back end of the car. But honestly, these next few laps, do you carry on fighting and risking it? As we all know, the longer a fight goes on, the more likely it's going to end in tears. So, I mean, if these front four are smart, they're just going to wait, be patient for that last lap, and then just, you know, have a roulette wheel on who's going to end up in front come the checkered flag. But obviously they're racing drivers. They don't want to do that. They do not want to sit for the next, 18 odd minutes and do nothing. They're going to want to race. They're going to want to fight. They want to gain any advantage they can on one another. And it's just a never-ending cycle. And, well, we hope they can all keep it clean. But 4 cars fighting for one spot gets a bit tricky, especially a track as narrow and unforgiving as the Nordschleife. But luckily, like you were talking about, JR, they are probably only going to fight once we come to that back straight, which is nice and wide. But, I mean, I've seen some pretty big accidents happen through there in a straight line. So, yeah. let's hope they can keep it on the road.
Yeah, too right, Aaron, and we will see some disputes over that entry to that first corner off of the back straight on the last lap. And realistically, what we've seen at this track over the years, we are now completing lap 2 of 4, and looking again, Van den Hoek, Sorensen, McCutcheon, and Blanco. Realistically, any one of those 4 cars could win this one when those cars use the slipstream and shuffle positions on the very last lap, and it may be that we're going to see all 4 of them be satisfied with the positions that they're in and just wait for that inevitable scrum at the last lap. Although it does look, do I see a nose peeking out there? No, they're going to keep it chill for now, and so at the end of lap 3, it's not going to be chill. Although, wait a minute, that's Van den Hoek. Is that Van den Hoek peeking down the inside here? Yeah, he showed his nose, but then backed out of it. So no change in position there, and no change for now. And but we're definitely going to be seeing a scrum coming off that back straight on the last lap, Aaron.
Oh yeah, 100%. As long as they're all still within about a second of each other. But at least we can watch some hard for battling going on further back, though. And I believe there was some disgruntlement in chat. I think some people were complaining at one another for being a bit silly going down the back straight. And yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happened to some of these drivers. That I mean, there are a lot of guys that are out. Just noticed James Barry as well. He's had an incident. One of the contenders this year for the European Championship, and as well this season's Esports Radical Championship. So I guess we can take a look at what happened to James Barry. Oh, it was on the straight, wasn't it? On a straight. It was on the straight.
Oh my goodness. That's the number 10 car. Yeah, and somebody trying to bump draft there and ill-advised. You saw what the result was, and Aaron, if you heard some salty language coming over iRacing comms, that was probably James Barry suggesting that might not have been the best move, and Barry taking a couple hard hits there and a toe, and ouch, that is going to leave a mark.
It was Rocha. Yeah, I was just trying to see who it was, but no, it was Eduardo Rocha, who... Yeah, there's a reason why you don't tend to try and bump draft higher downforce cars, as they are very twitchy, and if you get one slight wrong tap at too high a speed, that happens. And James Barry is now out of this one, unfortunately. I think he was running actually decently well. I think he was about in 6th place. But yeah, that's very, very unfortunate. Luckily, he was very close to the pits, so I don't think his toe back would have been too long, as McCutcheon took the lead at one point. Very surprising that he's managed to get an overtake in there at this middle, the beginning part of this lap. And well, if you're going to do it, this is probably the section of the lap that you're going to do it at, round the outside. I imagine Sorensen didn't try and fight it too much. Looked like he might have lifted through there. A very ballsy overtake from McHutchinson. Bit of a risky one as well, considering that he's probably just going to lose the lead at the end of this lap because of the slipstream. But fair enough. Like I said, these guys are racing drivers. They don't hold back. They don't care about the sensible option. They just want to race. They just want to have fun. And, you know, fair play. I'd probably be doing the same.
Well, and in fairness to Aaron, Sorensen might be just happy to give up the sitting duck seat in the front. You really don't want to be sitting in P1 coming down that back straightaway the last time, and notably Hutchinson making the move there on that entry to Ehrenberg, which is where we saw Sorensen make that very sketchy dive on lap 1 in the cloud of smoke. Couldn't quite get it done. It's the difficult downhill off-camber entry to a slow turn after being deep into 6th gear there. And Hutchinson rolling the dice, and now, well, here comes Sorensen. Sorensen is now, we're on that back straight again, approaching Moot Curve. Sorensen taking advantage of the draft, and now Sorensen is back ahead. Hutchinson sniffing around a little bit, but they're going to be stuck in this order now, likely barring any mistakes, until we get to the back straight. And some interesting shuffling going on. Vandenherk and Blanco, as I said, might be in the catbird seat with these two bumping back and forth. Any of those 4 cars could cross the line first due to the slipstream on the last lap.
Honestly, if you are in a 3 or 4 car train going on to the last lap, you don't really want to be in first, obviously, but I don't even think you want to be in second. You kind of want to be as far back as humanly possible, because the straight is bloody long. I think it's, what, 1.5 miles, 2 miles, something ridiculous like that. And you kind of want to be in that 3rd or 4th place spot to just slingshot past your opponents, as you will genuinely be going about 5 kilometers an hour quicker, if not more. So if it stays like this, it could be whoever's in 3rd or 4th is going to be the man that's going to end up winning this, as this is Gonzaga going through the carousel. A pretty difficult corner, actually, all things considered, and yeah, just too much speed on entry and lost a few places.
Yeah, Gonzaga definitely misses breakpoint, overcooked that entry. You kind of have to drop it right in the hole on the entry to that carousel, and you saw the result. He washes out. His competitors get the benefit of that extreme camber, and that did cost Gonzaga a couple points. Now he's running in P13 with his teammate Andreas Friedrich right behind. Friedrich having lost 8 positions from his qualifying position. So a lot of shuffling up and down this field. Our current hard charger is in front of those two. It's Marcos Adami, who's moved up 10. And aside from the folks crashing out, we have a couple other folks that have fallen quite a bit, and Andreas Friedrich being at the top of that list. Oh, and a big crash.
No,
that
he's
is
just
Friedrich.
gotten worse.
Did Friedrich tangle with his teammate Gonzaga? He is stuffed that radical into the Armco, and it may be over for Friedrich. And my goodness, teammates coming together for race-ending incidents. You never want to see that. Let's see what happened.
Well, you were just talking about him, and well, he decided I'm gonna make it worse. As we were following Gonzaga, I don't even think these guys were involved. Yeah, they weren't. And that is exactly why you stay as far away as possible from the curbs at the Nordschleife, because that will happen. And Andreas Friedrich has just found that out and is now limping his way back to the pits, and will probably drop down to 16th place. As shock horror, we're back up at the front. Everyone is swapping places for the lead of the race, and this is going to be the last time that they get to practice doing this. As we head round the final corner, this is going to be the white flag, and they will have just about 6 and a bit minutes to try, and that's a drift for Braun going through the last corner. I've never seen anyone actually successfully manage to drift a Radical SR10, so fair play. That was absolutely incredible through the last corner, but one more opportunity, 6 minutes to go, and probably 4 drivers within a chance of winning this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a couple of trains up front, a couple of 4-car trains. Not only we have McHutchinson, Sorensen, Vandenherk, and Blanco, but back about 5 seconds from that, it's Braun, Roca, Bjorklund, and Kettle Larson all packed together with 3 or 4 ticks between them. So we are going to see some fireworks here at the last lap. Right now, taking a look at Braun with Roca sniffing around behind. Braun leading that train, and you can see in our intervals there's just over a second between all 4 of those cars, and if they can maintain those gaps all the way to the back straight, they're going to be looking to make something happen here on the white flag lap. And Sorensen, meanwhile, Sorensen putting down some heaters up front. He's got about 3/10 behind him to McCutcheon, 3/10 from McCutcheon to Vandenherk, and another 2 back to Blanco. So as usual, these Nordschleife races are going to come down to a scrum on the last lap into that last corner off of the back straightaway. The finish line just around a couple of tight bends from there. So that's where the action is going to be as this one winds down.
Yeah, 100%. I'm kind of shocked at the fact that we are getting this close racing at the Nordschleife, and as well, considering the qualifying gaps. I think, to be fair, the top 10 were covered by about 2.5 seconds, which is actually pretty good considering it is the Nordschleife. Usually you'd be seeing about 3 or 4 seconds covering a top 10. And shocked as well how many drivers actually did qualify. You usually get about half the grid maybe qualifying. We got, I think, everyone down to about 17th or 18th. There were just a few people who didn't. And yeah, it made for a really competitive field for today. And the fact that we've got a battle pretty much everywhere you look at the moment, including this one that we're watching on our screens between Santos and Adamami, as we head into the tricky, difficult part of the lap before we get onto the middle part, the straight that gives you a bit of a chance to get ahead of your opponents. And just looking up front as well, I think Lasse Sorensen potentially has activated some kind of hybrid system on his SR10 as he's pulled away 8/10 from McCutcheon. So he's clearly thinking, I have to get out of here. I have to pull away from them, otherwise I will be a sitting duck, as we do head onto this middle straight in this lap. And, well, everyone behind is going to gain, I'd probably say, about 2 or 3 tenths. So it'll be about half a second, and then about another minute or 2 until we get all the way back down to that anti-climax on that back straight. We're all just waiting for. And here's Sorensen taking the lead earlier on. And they seem to like that move around the outside.
Yeah, I'm going to remember that one. And we've got more radical action this weekend, folks, at this same track. We've got the Americas and European Radical Sim Racing Championships back-to-back on Sunday. 2 races in each one of those events. So if you don't get your fill of radical action here, be sure and join us on Sunday. And some of these drivers are going to be out there with us for that event. And if you want to point and laugh at yours truly, I will be out there as well, competing in the Americas Championship. But we're getting down to crunch time here, Aaron. We're about to emerge back onto that back straightaway where this stuff is going to be sorted. Nope, I've completely lost track. We're about the middle of the lap right now, riding along with Vandenherk, looking forward at McCutcheon and Sorensen. And I got to say, Vandenherk is a fast driver, and I like his chances to come out of this dust-up at the end in P1. So we'll see what he's able to do. He's certainly doing a good job staying close to McCutcheon so he can take advantage of that slipstream down the back straight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, of course, he was the pole man. He clearly has some speed around this track. I think Blanco could possibly be in a bit of a tricky spot. I don't think he quite has the pace of these front 3 and is kind of just sticking with the slipstream, as I really do think it's going to be the top 3. Potentially Blanco could get involved if he gets a good enough slipstream. But I think Sorensen on this lap anyway looks fairly speedy, and McCutcheon will get the slipstream. It will be enough. And I think Vandenherk in 3rd will then just slingshot his way past, and potentially Blanco might be able to get a 2nd or something along those lines. As bear in mind, we've got battles all over the shot, as Hutchinson clearly struggling there. Nearly Tony hawking it on the curb on the outside, as here we go, 1 corner left. Need to make sure you get a good exit out of this one. They will still be within slipstream, but Sorensen, I must say, has done an amazing job on this lap. And I think I don't know, 8/10 is a lot, and he's weaving like crazy. I do not blame the man, and it could actually be enough, you know. It will be close, but McCutcheon is gaining. So is Vandenhoek. So is Blanco. Here they come then, and they are gaining quickly. It is not going to be enough, no matter what you do. Sorensen is going to come under pressure. Here we go. Then Vandenhoek goes for the lead of the race. Look at Blanco. Look at Hutchinson. We're going nearly 3-4 wide as we head into the final stages of this last lap. And there's a move on the inside potentially for Blanco as he tries to go for it. Vandenhoek has broken as late as he humanly can. And I think it's going to be the Dutchman ending up winning this one. Who's going to get second place? It's going to be Blanco. I told you he'd get second. Great job by that man. Absolutely beautiful stuff. Hutchinson got third in the end. And Sorensen, it was what, 8.5, 9/10 going onto that straight. He ended up fourth. And further, and that's Adamami who's been sent round. And that's a shame. Oh, he's being sportsmanlike. I think he might be waiting. No, never mind. He's going to just take the 12th anyway. And I think he's already crossed the line at this point as Adam Army chooses to cross the line in reverse. But yeah, shot caller, we got a great finish. And I got to say, a lot cleaner than I thought. I definitely thought someone was going into the wall. But all the top four, they all kept it clean. As here is Andreas Friedrich limping his way back to the start-finish straight.
And my goodness, Aaron, that last lap really encapsulated racing these SR10s at the Nordschleife. Sorensen absolutely lit the wick on that last lap. He got close to a 1 second gap when they rounded that last bend onto the back straight, weaving like a madman trying to break that draft. And what did he get for his efforts? All three of these cars blew past him like he was pulling an anchor, and it was over for Sorensen. His podium chances were over after leading a couple of laps of this race. And we're going to get another look riding along with Vandenhoek here. And see you later, Lasse, and I'm going to bring a couple of friends with me too, and I hope you get a good view of the three of us making the podium while you're thrown down into P4 at the last possible second. Ouch, that has got to burn a little bit for Sorensen.
Yeah, that definitely is going to sting for the Norwegian. I think Blanco could have potentially done more there, but chose the safe option just to get P2 there. Oh, he just about held off McCutcheon behind. But the slingshot, the speed that Vandenhoek had, he was going about 10 miles an hour quicker than any of the cars in front of him. And look at Blanco just sticking with Vandenhoek. As I believe they're bump drafting. Yeah, they are, ever so slightly. And the speed at which they catch Sorensen in the lead is just insane, and there's nothing he can do. It's genuinely like they're in multi-class racing. Absolutely pace difference, like they've got the DRS wing open or they've got another engine in the back. It genuinely looked about 10 miles an hour more. And yeah, in the end, it was Vandenhoek who managed to win. Only just in the end. And look at Blanco holding it around the outside at that final corner. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, that was good stuff. And those two were definitely bump drafting. That's two radicals connected together and left Sorensen completely in the dust, and really nothing he could do. A Herculean effort by Sorensen there. But when people are teaming up behind you, bump drafting on that long straightaway, I mean, they probably had, I bet they were 20 or 30 kph faster than Sorensen, and there was literally nothing that he could do about that. And speaking of Lasse Sorensen, he is waiting for us, so we'll talk to him about the P4 consolation prize here once we get the results up for you, which we should have for you in just a moment, and Aaron will run through those with you. But my goodness, really, this track never disappoints, and it certainly did not today.
Well, as much as we'd like to get the results up, we are still waiting for Paolo Gori to come across the line, and there's always one that's still, a few minutes behind, and well, he's had a bit of an awful race, clearly missing the entire front half of his car. I can actually see his legs, which is not what you want to see out of a radical. And oh dear, that's definitely looking worse for wear. Well, he's finished now, And that's every single one of our drivers crossing the line. We had about, 6 retirements in the end. Absolutely insane. And most of them run the first lap, to be fair. After that, it was relatively clean. So really good stuff from the rest of our drivers. But if we can actually get the results iRacing, that would be absolutely lovely. And we can finally have a look at all 23 of our drivers that finished today. It was Philip van den Hoek in the end, a second ahead of Blanco, but that doesn't really tell the full story, does it? It was very, very close. Intense stuff on that last lap between the top 4. And in the end, like I mentioned, van den Hoek ended up on top. He converted from pole to a win, although he didn't actually stay in the lead for very long, but he will be a very, very happy man at the end of the day. And then it's Rafa Blanco in the end in second place. Very, very good final lap from him. McCutchinson ended up settling for the last place on the podium in third. Lasse Sorensen, probably the quickest driver, judging by that final lap. He was pulling away from McCutchinson, but it just was not enough in the end and settled for fourth. Unfortunate for Sorensen. Let's see what he can do on Sunday, though. That should be a very, very good watch. As Heinz Braun, in a battle of his own, in fifth place, ahead of Bjorklund, Rocha, and Larsen. Very, very close between those 4 as well. And then the rest of the grid is as follows. It's Andreas Beer in 9th place, Marco Weaver in 10th, Luke Santos in 11th place, Jorge Gonzaga in 12th, Kirakopoulos in 13th place, Adami in 14th, Dibden in 15th, Friedrich in 16th, Paolo Gori in 17th, Myron Iani in 18th place, Ian May in 19th, James Barry in 20th, Anderson in 21st, Castro in 22nd, and Samir Kadora in 23rd and last place. And that's a 23-car grid. I believe it is the biggest grid that we're going to get this season. And now we get to talk to Lasse Sorensen.
Let me see here. We can get him wrangled inside and finishing today, P4, Lasse Sorensen. And my goodness, man, you did absolutely everything you could. We saw you lighting the wick on that last lap to get away from these guys behind. You had it almost up to a second by the end of that last lap, but it appeared that van den Hoek might have bought Blanco a beer before this one because he was pushing him all the way down the back straight, pushed him right past you, and there was really not a lot that you could do at that point.
No, it was nothing to do, and I knew I needed to try to push the last lap just to get enough gap, and I hope that John was making a little mistake because he needed to push a lot, and Philip was also on the radio and telling him that he's pushing in front. So I did hope that they would start to fight on the rear because then I would have enough gap. But when I saw out on the thing at 0.85, I knew that fourth place was mine today. But yeah, what a great race. It was awesome. It was so clean and so fair race all the way. So it's awesome to race with guys like this.
Well, and it was great to watch. And I threw down some laps earlier, and it just... This car eats up this track. It was like it was made for it, and it's really fun. And if you're any Nürburgring junkies out there in the crowd, I'd strongly suggest that you grab one of these SR10s and take it out for a few laps. They are tremendous out here.
Just jump in. It's so awesome. It's so fun to do racing, and it's so fast at Nürburgring as well. So it's that's the best combo for me.
Yeah, well, super fun. And again, I have to congratulate you on that effort. We could see you lighting the wick and digging deep to try to create that gap. And you actually, I think you probably would have succeeded had not van den Hoek and Blanco been bump drafting. I don't think they would have caught you. But once van den Hoek got that push from behind, it was kind of over. So, but a fantastic race and congratulations. So as we wrap up here, Lasse, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to?
Yeah, the guys I raced now, of course, because it was clean and fair fighting all the way. And you guys for the awesome broadcast, and not at least teammates in RGL Coatings iRacing, our sponsor RGL Coatings, and also Sande Trafikkskole.
Excellent. And actually, before I let you go, I should mention, are you going to be running on Sunday in the European Radical Sim Racing Championship here on Apex?
Yeah, definitely I'm going to do. So we are prepared for that now.
Excellent. Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. That is Lasse Sorensen, our P4 today, who absolutely did everything he could. It was superhuman effort to put a gap on some very fast drivers behind, but it was all for naught when the bump drafting started. So holy cow, what a fantastic race. And what is looks like we got Navarra next week. Is that right? I think that is a new track. So Aaron, you had any opportunity to throw laps down at this new scan?
No, I'm going to be honest. No, I haven't. I have, admittedly, before it's got announced for iRacing, I had never heard of the track, so this is the first time hearing of it. I probably should give it a go. Seems like a decent enough track, and well, I mean, the Radical is usually just fun to fling around any track, so it should be some good fun. And a couple other circuits that I'm quite looking forward to this season as well. Watkins Glen, I just absolutely adore Watkins Glen, both for racing and just for watching. It's just always such good fun. Road America, again, another track I absolutely adore. That should be some good fun. And then Sebring and also Interlagos, a few of my favorite tracks. And yeah, it should be a really, really good season. There's not too many tracks on this calendar that I don't like, which is always what you want to see.
It is looking good, and you left off one that I'm looking forward to, and that's Virginia International Raceway, the what some people call the American Nordschleife, and I'm anticipating that these SR10s are going to tear up that track just as they do here at the Green Hell. But folks, this weekend, as the weather is cooling, our racing on Apex Racing TV is heating up. On Sunday, as I mentioned, we have 2 Radical Sim Racing Championship events, 2 races in each one of those events here at the Nürburgring. On Monday, we'll have the Asphalt ACC event at Red Bull Ring for any Assetto Corsa fans out there. And Operation Motorsport will be at Sonoma as well. And on Wednesday, the Apex Racing League Prototype Championship will be at Road America that Aaron was mentioning, and we have the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championships at Interlagos on Wednesday as well. So a couple double headers heading your way. Feel free to stop by and join us, and don't forget to subscribe to Apex Racing TV and hit that notification button, because as I said, as the winter months approach, things are heating up. We're going to have some of the best cars, best drivers, and best tracks on the iRacing surface here almost every night for you. So you don't want to miss any of that. So that is going to wrap us up today. This is J.R. Gregory with Aaron Smith and our producer, Joshua Wilkie. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy Friday, and have a fantastic weekend.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.